Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's Thursday with AARP Wisconsin. I am Amber Miller, your hostess with the mostest, but also the Associate State Director of Community Outreach for AARP Wisconsin. So just a couple friendly reminders, of course, always to check out our AARP Wisconsin website for any upcoming virtual events we'll talk about towards the end of the show. Articles and information about everything that's going on right now with AARP nationally, and then also AARP Wisconsin. Also remember to check out AARP Community Connections. So this is an online platform that allows users to organize and find local volunteer groups to help pick up groceries, provide financial assistance, or lend emotional support to neighbors and friends and loved ones. And you can also find information about the AARP Friendly Voice Initiative. I always talk about this every week. It's a really great free program. It's open to anybody, any age, and you do not need to be a member. But if you're looking for just a friendly voice on the other end, you can definitely check out more information below and put a request in for our volunteer to call you. So today we're going to be talking about, well, of course, it's almost towards the end of the year. We start thinking about New Year's resolutions. And one, of course, is to get our finances in order. And this could be for unexpected costs, which we also a rainy day fund or an emergency fund. So one half of adults have experienced an unexpected financial challenge in the past year. So AARP has launched AARP MoneyMap. It's a free online tool that helps consumers deal with unanticipated financial emergencies, which I think we've all had either personally or we know somebody. So we have two guests today. So we will be bringing them up. We have Gary Koenig, who is the Savings and Planning Enterprise Lead with AARP Wisconsin. Hello, Gary. And I'm sorry, it's AARP National Office. And then also Rachel Ballington, who is the product manager with AARP MoneyMap, also through our national office. So you guys are probably getting all the snow right now?
It just moved through.
It just moved through.
It just moved through.
Well, that's our gift to you. You can have all of our weather that we just had. So thank you guys so much for being here today. So the AARP MoneyMap, I'm a big believer and a big advocate for people to start thinking about their personal finances. And one, of course, is those unexpected emergencies. So it could be car repairs, it could be a vet bill, and the AARP MoneyMap is really a great resource. So, Gary, if you could talk a little bit about exactly what is the AARP MoneyMap.
Happy to do it and happy to be here today. Rachel's going to do a demo shortly about it, but just to give you a broad overview of what it is, it's designed, AARP MoneyMap is a tool to help people improve their financial well-being. And at its core, I would say AARP MoneyMap is about creating actionable steps that people can take to help them to achieve a more secure financial future. And the steps that and the action plan that's provided through this is based on the individual's information. So it really is designed to address people's particular situation because that's what we think makes it most valuable. And today we have, it's something that we're continuing to build out, but we have two solutions today that are part of AARP MoneyMap. The first solution is helping people to cope with an unplanned expense. So you had mentioned this, Amber. And there's things like medical expenses, a home repair or car repair, just to give some examples. And one thing we know, these are really common. They're more common than I think people realize. And I'm happy to share some information later about how common they are and also the size of them. But this first solution is designed in order to provide an action plan to help people to deal with that unplanned expense. So in addition to providing the plan, the solution also offers tips for negotiating with creditors. It offers a guide to resources for dealing with that expense, and it offers the pros and cons. It provides the pros and cons of different ways to pay for that expense. So that's the first solution. The second solution, which Rachel's going to demo shortly, is our debt manager solution. And just to be brief, since Rachel's going to demo it in a second, is the solution offers a payback plan to help people reduce their debt. It includes information like which debts to pay first, how much to pay, in order to provide people with a more manageable debt level to improve their financial well-being.
And Gary, why did AARP create the MoneyMap?
Sure. So I would say, ARP is dedicated to empowering people to choose how they live as they age. And financial security, financial resiliency is, a key part of that. And it's really, I would say, part of ARP's DNA. For ARP MoneyMap, we did see a need. When we looked in the market, we thought there was a need for a tool that provided people with actionable steps. So I know I keep coming back to actionable steps, but what we wanted to do was we wanted to provide people with more than just education or just more than information. We wanted to provide them information that they could then use in order to improve their financial well-being. And I think we have that, and I think you'll see that in a second. I also would emphasize, and you said this earlier, Amber, this is free for anybody to use as long as you're 18 and older. And so we think we're proud of what we've created, and we're hoping that it can help a lot of people.
And what I love is I was talking to Rachel earlier, and I have personally went through the AARP MoneyMap. And, right now we're thinking about our finances maybe a little bit differently because of COVID or maybe a loss of job, but it's just a really great tool to kind of help frame out that maybe what you have on pen and paper, which sometimes, you're just like, why did I write that down? So I love this, and I'm really excited that Rachel will be doing a demo shortly. Gary, what are the main challenges that people are facing? People face achieving financial security, and how can the MoneyMap help?
Well, for a lot of times, a lot of people, these are tough times. And what we've created in the two solutions that we've started off with are things that when we did our research, we talked to consumers, these were needs that they identified. So unplanned expenses, I mentioned, these are more common. They're unplanned, but they're frequent, and many people, a significant number of people, experience it every year. Let me just give you an example. We did a survey in 2019 amongst those who 30 and older who suffered an unplanned expense. And what we found is that the typical expense, the typical financial shock, was between $3,000 and $4,000. And on top of that, 44% of those who experienced that financial shock said they expected their finances would not get back to normal for 6 months or longer. So it's significant. This is an important issue, and that's why we created this first solution around unplanned expenses. Debt is another challenge that people face. Recent survey that was done by the Financial Health Network finds that about 1 in 4 people say they have an unmanageable amount of debt. So really what MoneyMap is about is trying to empower people to take control of their financial lives, give them options in order to improve their financial security.
Great. And before we get to the demo with Rachel, if you're just joining us, we are talking to Gary and Rachel from the AARP National Office all about the AARP MoneyMap platform, which, as Gary was just talking about, is a really great tool and resource for maybe mapping out a plan for some debt you might have, or a way that you can plan for an emergency fund. And this, and especially if you're already struggling to find even money, even within your household budget, I think this is a really great resource. So Rachel, I'm excited. We're going to turn it over to you for you to do a demo, and then we'll take some questions afterwards.
Sure. I first just want to speak to the blessing and value of MoneyMap. Earlier this year, I had a friend who had been furloughed, and a few weeks later, after losing insurance, had a bit of a fall and had an unplanned medical expense, had to have a surgery, and we were talking. She said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, let's look at AARP MoneyMap unplanned expense. And I literally like pointed her to the site. She walked through it. And for her, it was exactly what she needed to kind of like find out what are her resources in that situation. And so like her and for others, like that's what MoneyMap can do for you. It can help you find the resources that are available to you given your very unique circumstance. And then for me, I've applied the AARP MoneyMap principles in my life, and I've worked in the debt manager solution, which I'll show you shortly. And using MoneyMap, I was able to create a strategy for myself where I was able to pay off 2 of my debt accounts this year. So now I'm credit card debt free.
Wow.
And I'm really happy for the tools that I'm about to show you. So let's hop into that.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. So here we are on the global homepage of MoneyMap. And you'll notice if there are extra resources you need to any COVID-19 updates for your area or government programs or banks, you can click these links to aarp.org. But the main navigation of MoneyMap has our homepage and our 2 solutions. You're also able to log in or sign up. By doing this, you're essentially saying, I'm like saving all of your information that you'll input. That way, as your unplanned expense resolution develops, or as you're kind of going through your debt payments and managing that strategy, you can come back and have all of that information saved and easily accessed. So here we have the button where you can click into unplanned expenses, but today we'll look at the debt manager piece. And here is like the main landing page for Debt Manager. So we'll just go ahead and click that we want to get started and that it's free. So for the sake of our demo today, I've already preloaded some accounts, and I did a little internet research to kind of learn a little bit about the average debt amounts and payments for different types of debt loans in Wisconsin. And so this example is somewhat representative of someone who carries an about average load of debt in Wisconsin. So we'll add another account so you can see what it's like to add an account. I'm going to add a credit card. You can choose mortgage, home equity, auto loans, personal loans, and medical debt. So I'll just add another credit card. And here, you can give it a different nickname. So I'm going to call this one Credit Card 2. In this tool, you can't enter like your account number or anything like that. We don't want to put that information here. But if you wanted to kind of differentiate your 2 different credit cards, you could say one is like my Discover card, or one is my Visa Platinum, or whatever it is. But you can give a nickname to any of your debt accounts so that it's easier for you to follow later on. We'll say that this debt is not delinquent, and we'll move to the next screen. Here it asks us if we have any special agreements with our creditor. Maybe the loan is deferred or on forbearance, or maybe you have a card that's in promotion, and it would take that information here. But for the sake of our demo today, we'll just say that there's no special agreements. Okay, so the balance we'll say that's on this card is $3,000. The minimum monthly payment we'll say is $90. And the interest rate on this particular card we'll say is 12%. So we'll add that. And now you can see it's been added to our list of debt accounts. Again, we have the opportunity to log in and save our progress, or just let the tool know that we've added all of our debt accounts. And now it's going to ask us a few more questions before it can help us to create a plan for ourselves in paying this debt back. So here we are, it's the middle of the month, and wants to know, have we already paid on any of these debts this month? And let's say that in our example, we've already paid our mortgage. Our mortgage payment is $1,418. And so we'll put in there that we paid the full amount. But for whatever reason, our due dates on these other things maybe haven't hit yet, or we just haven't paid yet. So we won't check any of those off. Now the tool is showing us these are the debts you haven't paid yet. How much can you put towards that remaining debt? And we are going to say that we're able to put $1,550 toward the remaining debt. That happens to be the exact amount we'd need to cover our minimum payments. If we're not sure about what our budget is, or if we have a little more, we can use the tool to help us set a budget. It'll ask what our monthly take-home pay is, and let's say it's something like $5,000. I don't know. And then you can kind of hop into this part of the tool, and you can create like a little bit of a budget for yourself. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to do the budget tool today, but you can see how this works, and that we've provided a take-home income level. It's going to take out different expenses that we have, like let's just for kicks and giggles, say that's $200. You can see how it kind of removes what we've already paid, what those other expenses are, and says that that's what we have available for this month. But again, for the sake of our demo, I'm going to show you how what we have available for this month right now is $1,550. After we've done that, the tool is calculating what you already paid, what you have left, and it's looking at your debt payments, helping you to develop that strategy for paying it back. So here's our plan. We've got over here, this is our debt budget. In total, we're paying $2,968 a month towards these debts. And here's that $1,550 we have left to put towards the other debts. It shows these essential accounts. We say that they're essential because they're very important. Home and auto loans, when not paid, have very serious consequences. And at AARP, it's important to us that you have a shelter and a mode of transportation. And so we want to make sure that these are at the top of your mind as you're going through the tool, and that the focus is here. And so that's why they're marked as essential. If you need any further guidance on what an essential account is, there's a link here that you can follow. As you kind of scroll down, you'll see those other accounts and debts that you entered. We've got the credit card, the federal student loan, and that second credit card. And so you'll see here that it's saying pay that minimum payment of $540 for this card. You can click into it to kind of get other tips for credit cards for that specific type of debt, or tips for your federal student loan. Those tips could be things about how to talk to a creditor about improving your rate, or changing a payment date, or if something happens where maybe circumstances have changed and you want to try to defer your federal student loan, or go into a forbearance payment, that type of thing. It walks you through how to contact that creditor, and how to gather the information you need to have a successful conversation with them. It also gives you the opportunity to add another account in the future. Up here, you'll see that it encourages you to come back and mark these debts as paid. So here we have the goals. And so your basic goals are to review the plan, which we've just done. We need to pay our essential debts like we talked about. We're staying on track with creditors because we have enough to cover those minimum payments. And it wants to see that we've marked all of those debts as paid and that we're paying the correct amounts. So here I can say, like, let's say that we come back into the tool in a couple of days and I've paid my auto loan. So as I click on that, let's say that I've paid my minimum payment of $523. And once I save it, you'll see that the check mark turns green. If anything changes with my account type, I can click on the credit card, click on the account name rather, and I can change any of the details that I previously entered just moments ago. And I can also delete the account if something's happened, where maybe I entered all the information incorrectly, I can delete it. Or if I just need to tweak a few things, I can edit it here. Let's also look at, this is telling us that we've made some progress. So here we can head over to this little section. And as I continue to use MoneyMap month over month, the tool will help me to see how my balance is changing over time. And so it's filtered out my essential accounts, but when I add all of the accounts, it'll show me, so far this month, I've paid $1,941. It shows my total statement balances. So all of the debt that I have combined, this includes my mortgage payment in this example, is over $200,000. But as I continue to make these payments, I'll see month over month how this decreases, and be able to kind of track how I'm doing on my personal goals for paying off my debt. Let's just take one quick example to see what would happen if I got a holiday bonus or like an end of year bonus, and I wanted to put that towards my debt payments. We'll put an extra, let's say $200 towards it. So that'd be $31.68, right? I think so. So now what's happened is we have a suggested change. There's suddenly $200 extra that I've budgeted towards debt. And based off of my balances and interest rates, the tool suggests that I put all of that $200 towards this credit card. And what that will help me do is it'll help me to get rid of my most expensive debt fastest. It'll help me to get out of debt faster by putting all of my extra funds towards this particular payment here. And so this new payment type, my minimum payment is $90, but it's telling me to pay $290 towards this card because I've indicated that's what I'm able to pay. And so as you can see in this way, AARP MoneyMap Debt Manager helps users understand the best way to get out of debt, a strategy for them to use these funds to get out of debt faster, a strategy and tips for how to contact creditors, and a visual for how I'm doing on my overall debt repayment goals. So,
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel. That demo is terrific. And I'm thinking our viewers right now are thinking of either how they can use that resource themselves or maybe somebody in their family. And this really is a great resource that coincides with the aarp.org/money page, which also gives tips and tricks on even how to start a budget. So if you're starting to think to pay down debt or if you want to save for those emergencies that Gary and Rachel were talking about, there's worksheets, there's articles, there's resources also on that money page that I think would really go hand in hand with what you were talking about. So Gary and Rachel, we have one comment from Arlene. She says, this tool looks great.
Thank you.
And I agree. Yes, I agree. Do you have any other tips and tricks on how to, we have one more from Arlene that we're going to pull up. Hold on. I know many people who struggle with budgeting and plan to share. So I'm already thinking about my nephew who is 22 years old working on his master's degree and thinking about how he's going to pay back all that debt. So my gift to him for the new year will be a link to this. Do you have any other tips or tricks or final comments regarding if any of our viewers are looking maybe to do the first steps into visiting the MoneyMap website? And I'll start with Gary first.
Sure. I think the best way to learn about MoneyMap and see how useful it is just to go in there and to play around with it and experience it, because we do think it is a very powerful tool, and the goal is to try to address people's needs. And we're also open to feedback. I should also say that, right? So this is a product that we've created, but we're constantly revising it and updating it to improve it. So welcome any feedback. Generally speaking, I think the right place to start, right, is having a good picture of your finances, both your expenses as well as the income that's coming in, and that gives you a better sense for least a starting place for tackling your financial needs and to improving your financial situation. As Rachel pointed out, though, there is a budget feature within Aarp MoneyMap that can be used, that can then ultimately be leveraged in order to figure out how best to pay down your debt.
Great. Thank you so much, Gary. And Rachel, same question.
I liked Gary's advice of just hop in and play around with both solutions, both the unplanned expense solution. What I like about the unplanned expenses side of things is that as you go into it, it says, has something happened or are you planning ahead? And there's a lot that's there that's good to just kind of see what's out there and kind of learn for yourself. How should I be? When things happen, what should I be thinking about? So that when something does happen, you already know, okay, I'm going to go to MoneyMap and here's some of the things I can expect. With Debt Manager, like I showed, you can delete accounts. So, go in and play around a little bit. If you want to feel the most successful with paying down that debt, though, I do recommend typing in exactly what you have on your debt accounts. There are some people who have gone in and as we've done some of our consumer research, they've said, well, it's not exactly right because my balance is actually this or my payment's actually that. And when in our research interviews, we say, okay, well, if we change it to the right details, then for them, they say, oh, there's so much more value here. Now it makes sense to me. And so, play around and then put in the stuff that matters to you and you'll see how it can help you kind of find the strategy that could be right for you.
And I do love during the demo how visual it is. I'm a visual person. And when you start seeing those goals of like, good job, or you paid this down, or you're starting to check mark like you paid in full, how rewarding that is. And every year for my New Year's resolution, I say I'm going to drink more water. I fail at that. And then I say, I'm going to get my personal finances in order. And I'm really going to focus on that. And I feel like the MoneyMap is going to be like such a great resource. So I want to say thank you so much, Gary and Rachel, for joining us today. I'm going to just do a couple final comments. So if you want to stay behind and we'll be right with you. So thank you again so much for joining us today. As a friendly reminder, we have some upcoming events, which we will show briefly. So December 17th, which is tonight. If you would like to hear a holiday concert, definitely join us for that. Also, around the same time as the Girlfriend Talk, so coping with anxiety and with hypnotherapist Amanda Kerr. And then December 19th is 'Tis the Season to Dance, presented by AARP. So all three of these events can be found below on the website. You probably most likely have to pre-register, or you could call the phone number below to register with one of our staff members. So as we know, next Thursday is Christmas Eve. So the AARP offices will be closed for the afternoon. So we are going to play one of our favorite videos, which actually just played a couple weeks ago, which is all about winter driving tips. I know we just got some snow within like the last week, so we'll be replaying that. And then on December 31st, we will be joined by some of our fabulous volunteers that we just love and adore. They're going to be doing reflections of what 2020 looked like for them. And we'll also give information to you if you're interested in being a volunteer with us. So thank you again. We really appreciate you joining us today. Please remember to share this video on your Facebook page, or if you're watching from YouTube, please share this link with anybody who might be interested in looking at their finances a little differently for 2021. And thank you again, and stay safe.